When I was about 8 years old, every Sunday felt like a small family tradition. We'd go to McDonald's. It didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but for a kid growing up in the 90s, it was like a trip to Disneyland. Only greasier and cheaper, and it smelled like French fries. But once a year, McDonald's turned into something else, something magical. It became a casino, a carnival, a place where you didn't just get food, you got a chance. It was Monopoly season. With every meal, you'd get those little stickers, game pieces with street names from the real Monopoly board. Some were worthless, practically falling from the sky, Baltic Avenue, Connecticut, Illinois. But others felt like golden tickets. Boardwalk, Park Place. Those ones? They whispered promises of fame and fortune. Every time we went, it became a ritual. I'd open my burger box like I was unlocking a treasure chest, carefully peeling off each sticker and holding it in my palm as if it were made of gold. Sometimes Mom laughed. Sometimes she pretended to be surprised. And sometimes, just for a second, she froze when we got the elusive 2 out of 3 on a property set, leaving us hungry for that final, rare piece. We had a system. A big Ziploc bag held all the duplicates. A small jewelry box kept the rare ones, or at least the ones we believed were rare. I made our own board, printed it out, and taped it to the fridge, marking off each property with a blue marker. We were organized. We were serious. We were dreamers. I even imagined the moment a man from the commercial would appear in a cloud of smoke, confetti everywhere, and say, "Congratulations, you've just won," and my mom would faint from joy. Of course, we never won anything big. A free burger, maybe. Fries. Once a pie. But we didn't care. It was about the chance. The hope. The fun of believing that the next sticker might just change everything. And then one day, something happened, something I still can't forget. Something absolutely ridiculous. Something that, years later, I realized was one of the weirdest, funniest, and most memorable moments of my childhood. Every Monopoly season felt like an open-ended adventure. We never knew how it would end, but we always played like we were on the verge of something huge. One Saturday evening, we ordered food like usual, used a coupon to save a few dollars, and got 2 big meals. I don't know why, but that day I had a feeling. Something inside me buzzed. Maybe it was just a sugar rush from my Coke, or maybe it was childhood intuition. But when I peeled the stickers off the fries box, my heart nearly exploded. Park Place. I almost jumped out of my seat. That was the one half of the $1 million prize. All we needed was Boardwalk. And if we already had it? Game over. Life changed. But we didn't have it. Not yet. Still, it felt like we were holding lightning in our hands. We went to McDonald's nearly every day after that. Even when we weren't hungry. Mom would say, "Okay, just a coffee and a cheeseburger for the stickers." We laughed about it, like we knew it was silly, but inside we were serious. Hopeful. And then, maybe a week or 2 later, it happened. I don't even remember exactly what we ordered that day. Probably a Happy Meal for me, coffee for Mom. We brought the food home. I peeled the stickers, and I don't know why, I didn't even look at them. I just tossed them in the junk drawer, assuming they were repeats. Then I went off to watch cartoons. Later that evening, as I was sorting through the stickers, it hit me. I had a flash, a sudden memory, a glimpse of a short name on one of the stickers I threw away earlier. Boardwalk. Or was I imagining it? I jumped up, ran to the kitchen, dumped the drawer, went through every sticker. Nothing. Mom. MOM. I think I threw out Boardwalk. She thought I was joking at first. But when she saw my face, pale, panicked, she knew I was serious. When? Today. Or maybe yesterday. Where? I pointed to the trash. We both looked. Empty. The garbage had already been taken out. She exhaled, long and slow. Then, with a strange mix of resolve and madness in her voice, she said, "Get in the car." "Where are we going?" "The city dump." Mom didn't say a word on the drive. Only once, as we left the city limits, she whispered, "Be honest. Are you sure it was Boardwalk?" I swallowed hard. I think so. It was short. Started with a B. Not Baltic. I know it wasn't Baltic. She nodded. Not yes. Not no. Just accepted my certainty as the only thing we had. The dump was outside the city, past the last gas station, and into a stretch of empty, weedy fields. As we got closer, the smell hit us. It wasn't just garbage. It was decay. Chemicals. Something sour and ancient and wrong. We parked near the entrance. Mom turned off the engine and looked at me. If anyone asks, we're looking for a lost necklace, okay? I nodded. But no one asked. There was no guard, no fence, no rules. It was just open, as if the world itself said, "You're crazy? Fine. Come on in." The dump was massive. Hills of trash like gray mountains. Old TVs, mattresses, cardboard, dolls without eyes. It looked like a graveyard of forgotten things. We had no plan. We just started walking, digging, peeking inside torn bags, looking for a miracle. After a while, Mom put on some gardening gloves she found in the trunk. She gave me her mittens. We split up and searched. At first, I was excited, determined, throwing things aside, convinced I'd find it. I truly believed the sticker was waiting for me, calling to me. But after 30 minutes, the energy faded. My hands were freezing. The mittens were soaked in filth. I cut my finger on a tin can. Didn't even care. At one point, Mom shouted, "Hey, I found." She paused. "Never mind. It's just Park Place." We both laughed. Wild, helpless laughter. Almost hysterical. An hour passed. The sun was setting. The sky turned orange-red. Gulls circled above us, screeching, watching. I walked over to Mom. She was leaning on an old microwave, exhausted. Hair a mess, cheeks dirty, hands shaking. She looked at me and said, "Let's go home." I nodded. We didn't find anything. But maybe that wasn't the point anymore. We drove home in silence. The car smelled like the dump, a mix of rot, chemicals, and something we couldn't name. I leaned against the window, watching the street lights blur past. Inside, I felt weird. Not quite guilt, not quite shame, just empty. Mom turned on the radio, then immediately changed the station, then turned it off again. No sound seemed to fit the mood. When we pulled into the driveway, it was already dark. We stepped out of the car, clothes still reeking of trash. At the front door, we took off our shoes like we were shedding something more than just dirt, like we were leaving behind an idea. The kitchen looked exactly the same, calm, normal, as if the house had no idea what we'd just done. I passed the box of stickers and paused. I wanted to pick one up, just to look at it. But instead, I felt disgust. They didn't seem magical anymore, just sad little scams. Mom put on the kettle, glanced at me, and asked, "Do you still think it was Boardwalk?" I didn't know what to say. I'd been so sure. But now, I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe I just really wanted it to be. She poured tea, softened her voice, and smiled faintly. "Then let's just say we had ourselves an adventure." I looked at her, tired, messy, but smiling. And I smiled back. "An adventure where we didn't find treasure," I said, "but definitely lost our sense of smell." We both burst out laughing. Later that night, I lay in bed, warm under the blanket, thinking about the day. It had started with fries and ended in trash. And still, somehow, I didn't hate it. Maybe we didn't win. Maybe I threw away something important. But maybe, just maybe, we won something else that day. In the days that followed, everything went back to normal. Mom returned to her routine. I went to school, did my homework, played video games. But something inside me had shifted. McDonald's wasn't magical anymore. Fries were just fries. Burgers were just burgers. And the stickers? They were now just paper. Paper that led us to dig through filth for a dream that may have never existed. One day, I opened the sticker box and looked through all of them. Dozens of repeats, a sea of Baltic, Illinois, St. James. All useless. I pulled out Park Place, the one that had started it all, and, without hesitation, I tore it in half. Slowly, piece by piece. Mom saw me do it. She didn't say anything. She just looked. No judgment. Just a long sigh. Maybe a little sadness in her eyes. I didn't understand it fully at the time, but that whole experience had less to do with monopoly and more to do with hope. When you're a kid, you don't have filters for disappointment. You don't doubt your memory. You believe, and that belief becomes real. You imagine your mom on the phone with McDonald's, confetti falling, a news crew outside your door. And when it all crashes, whether it was your fault or not, it feels like your world has cracked. I was mad at myself. For being careless. for believing, for caring. Mad at mom for not checking. Even mad at McDonald's for making a game that feeds on near misses and fake chances. But mostly, I was mad that it mattered so much. A few days later, mom suggested we go to McDonald's again. Just for food. No stickers. I said no. I wasn't ready. That night I stayed home, watched cartoons, and found myself smiling, remembering her standing in a pile of trash, holding a sticker and laughing. And I realized something. Maybe the point wasn't about winning. Maybe it was about trying to win. Together. Weeks passed. Then months. The Monopoly stickers vanished from the menu again. Life moved on. But the story didn't. We never talked about it directly. But it never really left. Sometimes we'd pass a dumpster and mom would say, "Hey, maybe Boardwalk's in there." I'd roll my eyes and grin. When someone on TV won the lottery, she'd mutter. And someone else threw away $1 million. At first, it stung. I still felt guilty. But over time, something changed in her voice. It wasn't bitterness anymore. It was comedy. The story became a family legend. I started telling it to friends, first casually, then as a full-blown tale. Over time, it gained dramatic flair. Seagulls attacking us, mysterious shadows in the trash, a climactic moment of discovery. It's just Park Place. Most of it was exaggerated. But no one cared. People loved it. Wait, your mom actually took you to the dump over a McDonald's sticker? Yep, because she believed me. They laughed, but not unkindly. And in that laughter, I heard something deeper, understanding. Recognition. They saw themselves in that story. Their own small hopes. Their own near misses. Over time, it stopped being a mistake. It became a memory we owned. And weirdly, I started to love it. Years later, I realized the story left a mark on me. A gentle one, but permanent. I became more careful with little things. Receipts, raffle tickets, scraps of paper. I started double-checking everything before throwing it out. I couldn't help it. That part of me stayed alert. Mom joked I'd make a great librarian someday. But beyond the behavior, something had shifted inside. I still believed in chances. I still loved small surprises. But now, I understood. Not every opportunity is worth chasing to the ends of the earth. And not every mistake is the end of the world. I wasn't a cynic. Just wiser. One time in high school, I joined a trivia contest. The prize wasn't much, maybe a gaming console. I thought I knew the right answer to one of the questions. I insisted. We picked it. I was wrong. My teammate was frustrated, but I shrugged and said, "At least we don't have to go to the dump this time." He blinked. I smiled. And then I told him the story. Years later, in my 20s, I stopped at a random McDonald's during a road trip. It was cold. I was tired, alone. I ordered fries and coffee. When the bag arrived, I noticed something on the side. Monopoly stickers. My heart paused. I hadn't seen them in years. Or maybe I had, and just ignored them. Avoided them. But now, there they were. Familiar. Slightly shinier. A little glossier. But still the same idea, a tiny piece of hope stuck to a fry box. I peeled them slowly. My hands trembled a little. 2 stickers. Both useless. And I laughed. Hard. Alone in the car, surrounded by gray skies and slushy pavement. It wasn't a bitter laugh. It was the laugh of someone who had been through it, and come out okay. I called my mom. Guess where I am? Where? McDonald's. With Monopoly stickers. Silence. Then her laugh on the other end. So, did Boardwalk finally show up? Not even close. But I think it's okay now. It's kind of nice. We talked a little more. She made a joke about digging through trash again. But I sat there afterward, just staring at the empty fry box. And I felt warm. Sometimes, the past comes back not to haunt you, but to remind you, to smile at you, and say, remember how silly it all was? But also how kind of beautiful. A few years later, I was at a dinner party with friends. We were sharing embarrassing childhood stories. One guy talked about his dad falling for a fake chip promotion and calling Norway. Then someone turned to me. What about you? Ever fall for something dumb? I smirked. I had a boardwalk once. Everyone turned. Seriously? Almost. Or maybe I just thought I did. And? And we drove to the city dump to look for it. You're kidding. So I told them. The whole thing. From the moment we opened the fries, to the sticker, to the silence in the car, to the seagulls circling over trash. They were stunned. Dude, that's the best thing I've heard all year. You have to turn that into a short film, man. We laughed. We acted it out. One friend joked. I can see it now, searching for Boardwalk, a mother and son versus the landfill of dreams. And for the first time, I realized this story wasn't just mine anymore. It belonged to everyone who'd ever chased something impossible, everyone who'd ever believed in a small miracle. It became a story about faith, about family, about being young and foolish and hopeful, and I loved it more every time I told it. Not long ago, I found an old box in the attic. It was full of junk from my childhood, comics, broken toys, postcards. And there it was, the small plastic jewelry box. The one we used for the rare stickers. Inside, faded and curling, were the remnants of that season. St. James Place, Tennessee Avenue, Park Place. I stared at them for a long time. They looked like photographs from another world, like postcards from a place where everything was a little louder, a little more magical. And I didn't feel sad. I felt grateful. This story wasn't a scar. It was a reminder, a quiet stamp on my heart that whispered, you believed once. You chased something. You shared it with someone who loved you. And maybe, if we had actually found Boardwalk and won the million, everything would have changed. But maybe, we would have lost the story. And that story? That story is priceless. If I had the chance to do it all again, the stickers, the doubt, the dump, the laughter, I'd say, let's go.